So here are the rest of the notes for section 1.2. So example 4 has the path of a place-kicked football can be modeled by this function here, where x is the horizontal distance, so right here. If you need to write that down, that might be a good idea. So here's our distance. And then y is the corresponding height. So we know height. Okay, so for A, we have to figure out how far is the football kicked. Basically from this distance all the way to the end. So that's what we're finding. Now if you look at our equation, it's not really an intercept form like we've talked before. So we are going to rewrite the formula so it is in intercept form. So we're going to use y equals, now negative 0.026, that's our A value. So we do 0. Now when you see x, another way of writing that in intercept form is x minus 0. And then we have the x minus 46. So now we have it in intercept form. All we have to figure out is our p and our q. So our p in this case, remember, it's the opposite of what we see. It's basically just 0. And our q is 46. Now writing these as intercept form or in coordinate form, we have 0, 0. And then we have 46, 0. So those are our x coordinates, and that's our pair. So if we look here, we start right here. This is 0, 0. And then we go all the way over here, which in this case, this is 46, 0. So if you're finding the distance, we're basically looking at our x values. So we go from 0 all the way to 46. So that means our distance is going to be 46. So basically, the football was kicked 46 yards. There we go. So that's our answer for part A. Part B says, what is the football's maximum height? Well, if we look, our parabola is facing down, so that means our right here is a maximum. So what we're going to use is our vertex to figure out our answer. Now remember, our maximum height, that means we have to figure out the y value of our vertex. In order to do that, we have to figure out the x coordinate of our vertex. There we go. So vertex. So for part B, remember to figure out the x coordinate of our vertex, we do p plus q. So our p value was 0. We added with our q, which was 46, and divide by 2, which we should get 23. Now we plug our 23 back into our original equation. So we're going to do y equals negative 0.026. And we plug 23 in for x. So we have 23 minus 0. And then we have 23 minus 46. So make sure you do what's in the parentheses first. So equals, so we have negative 0.026. Well, we do 23 minus 0, that gives us just 23. And then if we do 23 minus 46, that should give us a negative 23. Go ahead, plug this into your calculator, and what you should get is about 13.8 yards. And then that will be your answer. Okay, moving on to our next example. Now here, you can always change from intercept or vertex form to standard. And to do this, we're going to use the FOIL method. Now for our first one, we are in intercept form. So we're going to go from intercept form to standard, okay? Now, what you need to do is FOIL first. And that's always your first thing you need to do. So that means we're going to do x times x. Then you do your outer, x times negative 8. Our inner, which is 5 times x. And then the last, which is 5 times negative 8. So we get y equals, now we have negative 2 times x squared. And then we have our outer, which will get minus 8x. That's an 8 right there. Minus 8x plus 5x minus 40. Okay, so what's in the parentheses? We need to combine like terms, so this negative 8x and the 5x. So we have negative 2 times x squared minus 3x minus 40. And our last thing is we need to distribute the negative 2 to everything inside the parentheses. So we should get finally as our answer y equals negative 2x squared. And remember, 2 negatives make a positive, so plus 6x. And then once again, 2 negatives make a positive, so plus 80. And then this would be your final answer. Boom. Okay, so now what happens if we have it in vertex form and we want to get into standard? Now if you look here, we have x minus 1 squared. Now the squared does not distribute to then the x and the 1. What we have to do is we have to rewrite this x minus 1 squared. And we rewrite it as x minus 1 times x minus 1. And then I add 9 at the end. So just like we did before, you have to FOIL first. That's always the first thing you need to do, FOIL. And what we're going to FOIL are 2 x minus 1. So we have x times x, that's our first. Then we're going to do the outer of x minus 1, then the inner, and then our last. So we have y equals 4 times x squared, then minus x. Remember, 2 negatives make a positive, so we have plus 1. And then outside the parentheses, plus 9. Now before we do anything with distributing, you need to add like terms. So we should have y equals 4 times x squared minus 2x plus 1, and outside the parentheses, plus 9. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to distribute the 4 to everything inside the parentheses. So we distribute it to the x squared, the negative 2x, and the 1. So y equals 4x squared. And then you do 4 times negative 2x to give us negative 8x. And then the 4 to the 1, which is plus 4. And then we have plus 9. Now, once again, we have to add like terms. So the 4 and the 9 are like terms. So now, finally, our answer is 4x squared minus 8x plus 13. And then this will be your final answer. Okay, I have filled in notes in the Google Classroom, so if you rather look at those to see what the answers are, you can do that. Make sure if you have any questions about these last 2 examples, you come in before or after school, or you email me tonight.